So many years ago, I found myself in dire straits. I was feeling totally disconnected from everyone and everything. And with this came this really deep sadness that's really not describable with language. I was in my 20s, and I got in my car. It was February. I drove to the emergency room. I parked my car. I pulled out of my purse a pack of razor blades. I opened the pack, and I slit both of my wrists. I then walked into the emergency room and said, "Excuse me, do you think that I could get some help?" This was a time when I just felt so swallowed up by darkness, and darkness that now I can identify as a misunderstanding of who and what I am. And this misunderstanding manifests itself as addiction to substances, to rage, to volatile relationships, to chaos. You may be wondering why I would share such a personal and intense part of my story with you here in such a public way. And the reason is because to not tell you this part of my story, I would not be able to stand up here and talk to you in any way that's honest about pursuing passion, in any way that reflects how I got to where I am today. And the other reason is because to not share that part of my story, to hide it, to edit it out, to gloss over it, would be to succumb to some kind of shame around it. And what I have learned through the work I do and through the process of yoga is that what we hide from the world owns us. It owns our decisions, it owns our relationships, and it owns our creativity. What we hide from the world binds us in shackles of shame. And what we hide from ourselves holds us hostage, and it holds our potential hostage too. Something else I want to say about this. I have been privileged to witness something so exquisite, not only through my personal experience, but through working with hundreds of thousands of students from all over the world, that just on the other side of shame, just right beyond shame, is realizing our potential, is knowing our beauty and remembering our innate goodness. And before I say anything more about pursuing passion, I just want to suggest that we don't have to pursue our passion, because our passion is always in pursuit of us. The trouble is we're spending our time running and racing through life, grabbing for meaning, reaching out, grasping for something to fulfill us. And we don't need to do that. All we need to do is stop. All we need to do is pause, look in, be a witness to the longing of your own heart. This is called meditation. And then we begin to know what we are called to do. So passionate work is referred to as a calling for a reason. It is always right here, calling out to us. But we become very distracted by what we should be doing or what we could be doing, and we miss the opportunity to hear that calling of our innermost self. I grew up on the East Coast in a conservative environment. When I thought about my career as an adult, it was definitely going to include three things. It was going to include an office in a tall building. It was going to include a great briefcase. And God willing, it was going to include extremely expensive shoes. So nobody is more surprised than me to find out that my life's work, that my calling would be to teach yoga. We don't even get to wear shoes in yoga. But here I am. So how did yoga call out to me? Well, prior to this spiritual crisis that I've just described, I was living in San Francisco, as I still am, and you cannot be in San Francisco without being exposed to yoga. So I was in and out of several classes over the years, and I honestly don't remember most of those earlier classes. That part of my life's a little bit of a blur. But there's one class that I'll never forget, and there are four things about that class that I remember. I remember being super hungover. I remember being really hungry. I remember during the meditation part of the class, all I could think about was the cigarette I was going to smoke as soon as I got the hell out of there. And there's one more thing that I'll never forget. We finally get to the end of class. We go into Shavasana. That's where you lay on your back and you close your eyes. not easy for me at the time. And out of nowhere came 1 millisecond of refuge from my crazy, chaotic, fearful, angry, confused mind stuff. I got 1 moment of relief. And as soon as it came, it was gone again. But that moment planted a seed. So after that night in the emergency room, I had gotten help, and things were getting much better. I had a job in sales. I was working 10 hours a day as a recruiter. I loved the people I worked with, but I didn't love the job. But like most of us, I didn't know what to do instead, so I just stuck with the job. But it was beginning to occur to me that maybe I don't want to spend 10 hours a day doing something I don't love. Around this time, my boss called me into his office. He said, "Hey, you know that postcard that you keep there on your desk, the one that says, 'And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom?'" And he quoted it exactly, which seemed kind of weird to me at the time. He said, "Maybe it's your time to blossom." So I quickly figured out that I was probably getting fired at that moment. And so I quit immediately. And I didn't know what I was going to do. But I had seen an ad for a yoga teacher training. And at this point, I had been doing more yoga. And it was helping me. It was giving me insight to myself and how I operated in my life. So I thought, it's a month-long program. I'm just going to go do that for a month. And just to be clear, I had no intention of teaching yoga at all. But I thought, that'll give me 30 days to figure out what shall I do with my life. So I had one last check coming, one last commission check. It was for $1,500. And I used it to pay the tuition for this teacher training. I had no savings, and I had no backup plan. And that was 13 years ago, and I've been teaching yoga full-time ever since. So all of that brings me to this. Most of us, including me, want to look away from our broken places. We want to deny the damaged parts of our being. We want to tuck our limitations away as if they don't exist. But our broken places are gateways. Our broken places are gateways to awakening, to realizing our full potential. There's a mantra, Sat Nam, and Sat Nam can be translated to mean, my only identity is the truth. My only identity is the truth. Each one of us is here in this body, in this life, for a reason. And it is our work in this life to find a way to turn our potential out into the world in a way that uplifts us and uplifts everyone. The question is, how can I express my truth in a way that is productive and creative and of service? The most passionate people I know feel like what they're doing is helping. And at the core of any work worth pursuing has got to be the truth, something that you believe in. And we see this truth in action through the great world healers like Gandhi and Mother Teresa. They really got that. Every single one of us is as good, as courageous, and as capable as those great spiritual leaders. I don't care who you are, where you come from, or what you've done. You are beauty. At your core, you are beautiful and whole and good. How do we start to uncover our passion if we are unable to experience ourselves as whole? That's like inviting part of the team to the game and wondering why we keep getting beat, because our resources are limited. It's hard to know your own beauty when you're busy denying your pain, running from our perceived weaknesses. It clouds our lens. In yoga, we use the metaphor of a mirror that becomes smudged with misunderstanding. So all of a sudden, you wake up one day, you're in a job that you hate, you're with a partner that doesn't make any sense, and you wonder, how did I get here? How did this happen? How did I end up in a life that doesn't fit? This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. What can we do? We can turn towards our broken places. We can turn towards our demons and embrace all of it. We embrace everything that we are, flaws and all, and this will set us free. This will start to clear our inner vision. It shines the mirror of the heart so that when we look in, what we see is our true self. We begin to experience ourselves as whole, warts and all, and then we begin to know ourselves as holy. So we either identify these demons or they will identify us. We either see and know and heal our anger, or we're known as angry. We see and heal and know our grief, our pain, our doubt, or these things will define us and they will define everything that we say, do, and feel. So how do we define these demons? Well, I came with a shortcut because 2,500 years of yogic wisdom gives us tons of information, but I don't think I'll be able to cover all of it right now. So one way to start to identify these broken places is anytime you lie about anything, take a look. Anytime you feel the need to pretend, investigate that. Anytime you feel less than or inadequate, take a look. What causes you pain? What makes you squirm? What patterns of behavior are not serving you? We won't know unless we pause, we turn in, and we take an honest look at the source of our struggle. Only then are we able to take appropriate action towards change. Our perception of ourselves will change. It changes. Our awareness of ourselves, it changes. But what we are never changes. What you are at your core is good. So we make friends with our demons. We make friends with ourselves. We accept ourselves as whole. So now we're operating from a place that's informed a little bit. How do we uncover our passion? I have a shortcut for that too. Do one thing, at least, a day to help. Do one thing, or 100, to be of service, and do it just for the sake of service itself. There's two ways to go about this. One is help someone in a way that you would like to be helped. Not only is this a high spiritual practice, but it starts to reveal to us what matters to us. The other way, be of service, help someone in a way that you have been helped. Were you mentored? Be a mentor. Did you get a financial boost? Donate your resources. Did someone see a talent in you that woke that up for you? Identify and see talents in others. Tell them about it anytime that you can. Be of service. This life is so generous. It is so full of challenge and joy. When we can embrace everything about ourselves, when we can know ourselves as whole, when we can turn that knowledge out into the world in a way that is helpful, this fortifies us to meet anything that comes with courage and with wonder. So whatever the darkness is in your life, whatever the dark places are, whatever that means for you, turn towards those broken places and let those be the cracks that let the light in. Thank you.